Good morning, everyone. This is Matt over at MilestoneCapitalGrowthPortfolio.com. Today is Saturday, May 7th. All right. So I wanted to take a look at SPY, VIX, and UVXY. But I really wanted to discuss the pattern recognition uh, and the change and why we bounced yesterday the way we did and where we're going to go from there. I'm going to keep it nice and simple, but I want you to be able to see what I'm looking at and being able to determine what pattern is going to transpire based on the buying and the selling. So this is a daily SPY. Now, as you can see here, we came down and broke the 50, which was pretty bad. Um, but once I hit the lower Bollinger Band, it was very important for that to hold. If not, it was going to push lower and probably test the 200-day moving average. But knowing that the SPX was, had some serious support here at the 2040, the it was either going to be the bulls were going to come in or the bears were going to take over and just really push this thing down. So when I recognize a personal pattern change, what I'm looking at pretty much is the 15-minute chart. Okay, I have a lot of lines on here, and let me delete all these. I'm going to go back to the SPY. Okay, and I'm going to stay on the 15-minute chart here. Now, we have two trend lines that are very important here. And what I'm doing to manage those is I'm drawing those out and setting alerts. Okay, so if I'm short the market, which I was, what would convince me to go the other way? Um, and there are a couple things that really made me change that focus. And I'm going to come to the candles only, but I do have the Bollinger Bands on here. But mainly the candles. So the buying and the selling of these candles right here. And each one, this is a 15-minute chart, so each one is a 15-minute time frame. So the pattern recognition was really important. Knowing that this was outside the Bollinger Band and knowing that my relative strength index was down here at 30, okay, on the 15-minute chart. I knew I was going to get a bounce because it won't go to, minus 450. It stays in this pattern itself. So what am I looking for the actual pattern to be changed? So what I do is during a move, I'll definitely manage the trend line situation. And for this here, your short-term downtrend line is right here. Okay, because this was your top, this became resistance. So now your pattern is seriously in the downside. Okay, it's just that simple. And if you run off the bottom of your candles, you could see that the same thing was taking place. You had these candles here um, being your pattern to the downside. Okay, so being able to catch a bounce here, um, and watching it. I'm not convinced for any upside, and this is the 15-minute chart, until this line is broken. So what I would do is actually set an alert, okay? And by setting an alert on here, I set a price alert for this. The trend line alert to notify me when this trend line is broken. When this trend line is broken, I know the pattern is starting, okay? But then there's another pattern that you need to know about, and that's a little bit longer of a time frame. Okay, and I would actually shift this to the hourly chart because that's where I really want it to break, is on the hourly. Okay, so once this breaks and I already have the position, okay, I'm going calls right here. All right, because this is the very first move that it's going to take. Okay, so a starter position and getting rid of puts would be here because it came to the support. Making your first purchase here would be my most important entry, okay? And I would just take a starter position. If I budgeted $5,000, I would put in $2,500, and then I would manage when we got to this line because it was acting as resistance. Okay, so that's really important. So set your alert for here and then set your alert for here. And you can do the trend line on TC2000, which is fantastic. So once you recognize this, then you have to manage what's next. So you can, if this breaks, then I would go with a full position and then I would manage from there. So by switching to the hourly, I'll be able to see, okay, so this line is now gone. All right, it is broken. It's just that simple. So I'll get rid of this line, and now I'm managing this line. Okay, so when we come up to this line here, the first candle acted as resistance, but there's no reason to panic unless you get heavy selling. But you could see your indicators are starting to turn. Your Bollinger Bands are starting to spread to the upside and push down. And then the last hour here, we closed above. Actually, let's move this a little bit higher. Okay, we closed right on it. Okay, but the 15-minute had broken. So the hourly right now is acting as that resistance, okay? So potentially what could take place is we could dip down on Monday morning to this middle Bollinger Band and then go from there if we're going to get that full pattern reversal. But the key is to at least get a start in your position, okay? And then your final position would be here. That's the way I would do it. Now looking at the daily, the importance of the daily is understanding what's next also, okay? Because we've had a big move here. We've had this big move down. We've had the double bottom and move to the top. So what do we do now based on a longer time frame? Okay, so we're going to say, okay, we have this here is next, okay, because this is your actual resistance at this point. All right, so whoops, let's move this over here. I'm going to get rid of this one for now, and I'm going to put this one in place. Okay, so on the daily now, this is our next trend line that's going to be an issue. Okay, now I'm going to drop it down to the hourly so we can identify something on the chart that's very important. Okay, and as you can see on a lower time frame, it's showing the gap. And here's a gap at 207.75, right? All right, so we'll switch it back to the daily. So that's a potential target because most of those gaps get filled. Now, with this identified here at 207.75 and your downtrend line, your longer term downtrend line still intact here, your shorter time frames are breaking. Okay, now you have just one target. Okay, you're moving to a longer term now that you have your entry, longer term pattern identification. All right, and being a longer term identification pattern, you'll be able to manage this a little bit better. So your fast downtrend line would actually be here on your daily, okay? Because you're going to take this candle, and this candle, and you're going to run that line, and you're going to run that line. So you're on this candle, you're on this one. Let's bring this up a little more so it's a little more easier to see, okay? And you broke on the daily your trend line. Okay, so you did close over that trend line. So potentially now we have a move on a reset from an oversold position, okay, from here to here. Now, this is the crossroads on this, okay? So we have our pattern that's in place right now. We'll get rid of this. Now we're managing, now that we have our entry at the lowest possible point, we can manage the upside. Okay, so you're going to have resistance in these certain areas. Okay, so in these areas, I drop it down to the hourly, and I'm going to draw a couple of boxes, okay, which are going to be resistance, a very important resistance. So your first one is here's your low, here's your high, okay, before you fell down again. So I'm going to create a box, okay. So this box is the most important box, all right, and I'm using the bodies of these three candles, and you can see it actually broke, okay. So I have one consolidation box that has been broken, all right. What I would do now is layer my next one. Here was your last high, okay. So here's your next high. So you're going to manage this area, and then this candle here would be a next one. And then your next one, if you get up that high, would be up here for a full move. So really what you want to do is see your different resistance points and the different stages that could be, that could happen. Okay, so this one's now, whoops, let's see. This one here is now gone, okay? I don't need this bigger one yet, but at least I know about it. So really, it's these two that I'm most concerned about right now because my target is only going to be this 207.75 gap. Now, I can draw on this hourly an important trend line, okay? If this trend line is broken, okay, that's going to be my first signal to protect some profits, okay, or manage what my stop is going to be. Now, my stop would typically be this middle Bollinger Band here that's riding along here. Okay, but so if this line broke, I would manage this trend line right there. I mean the 20 SMA, which is your middle Bollinger Band on the hourly. Okay, if that broke, then I would be completely out and I would reverse to puts. Okay, because it was acting as resistance, and now it broke, so it's going to act as support. So I'm going to follow this trend line all the way up, and potentially we can get this gap fill based on the current pattern, right? It's going to say it says uh, 510 2016. So on the 10th, it looks like potentially we would be in this area. So that's basically, a quick version of how I would manage reversing the trades. And that's what I did on WhatsApp yesterday. Everybody that follows me on WhatsApp, we were short several items. I was short several items. I reversed trades right away, set up new positions, and now you're I'm in on the bottom and managing the upside. So understanding what the stop is, and understanding what the patterns are, it's very, very important. So on this newsletter on the left hand side, I believe there's a webinar for managing trend lines. Definitely check that out. It's a little over an hour. I did that with many members, but I think it'll help see what I see when you're trying to identify these patterns, and it could help you for longer term and shorter term trends and supports and resistance. All right. Follow me on WhatsApp. You'll get all the information. You'll get my trades. You'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. You'll get a compound sheet and a tracking sheet for your own personal use, which is very important. You can see how to compound your money. Now, I just do option alerts, option trades, but at the same time, I send out enough information where you would be able to manage, you know, different views of what's going on. So if I say that, here's what I'm looking at, this is why I'm looking at it, and what's going to be moving, or here's an identifiable pattern change that's starting to take place, you'll be able to, adjust what you're doing or be able to view it to see how it works, and use it as a training tool for yourself. Okay, this is Matt. You can follow me on WhatsApp. Just click on the link on the newsletter and and join and try us out for a month. I mean, it won't kill you, and I think it'll definitely benefit your learning experience to be able to manage many different things, whether it's in your own portfolio or at least pattern recognition and understanding the different moves over time. Also, check out that webinar. It's free, and it has valuable information on it. All right, this is Matt over at Milestone Capital Growth Portfolio. Have yourself a fantastic weekend. Any questions, just email me. I'll be more than happy to help you out.